Welcome to South Florida Saltwater Fishing. I'm Heath and it's Tips and Tricks Thursday. In today's episode, I'm going to go over with you how to rig up your own lure for high-speed trolling for Wahoo. Before we get into this though, do us a favor, hit the subscribe button, give this video a like, and leave us a comment. We'd love to hear from you. Alright everybody, you know what time it is. Let's do this. Alright, so the first thing you're going to need to create this lure is a few items. I have an islander. You may say it looks a little used. That's because I have used it and I have caught Wahoo on it. But it's still good. It's not all chewed up. It's missing a few of the little feathers, but it works perfectly fine. And like I said, I've used it. Lots of people can go with red and purple and darker colors. That tends to be what the Wahoo go after more. But I've had lots of luck with the sort of dolphin mahi colored lure. They go after that perfectly fine too. So I've got an islander. I've got a squirt squid that will hold a 2-ounce sinker. I've got a prefabricated 12-inch cable from Eagle Claw. I buy them in bundles, and then what I would end up doing is I just cut the swivels and stuff off of them so that I can make these. I fish for all sorts of toothy critters with them. They're very good. They don't give out. They're very finely wrapped at the ends, and they come with loops. Or you can make your own, tying haywire twists on either end of a wire leader if you're into doing that. I don't mind using these. Some people frown upon it, but it's fisherman's choice. And then you're going to need 2 8/0 hooks. So the first thing we're going to want to do is we're going to want to take our 2-ounce sinker and place it in the head of the squirt squid. You know, make sure that it lines up real good and even in the nose of it so that your lure will travel streamlined through the water. Alright, we're good to go with that. Now, the next item is we're going to need to turn these 2 hooks into a double hook setup. So I've shown this before, but I'm going to show it again now. To make a double hook setup, you take, I have cutting tools, and I put the cutting tip right between the shank and where the eye rounds about on the hook, and I just pinch, and I open it up. Now, I'm going to take my other second hook, twist it backwards and feed it through the eye. Now I have a double hook setup. Then I will take the back side of my cutting tool and use it as a pliers to close up the eye of that first hook. And now it's closed up and it won't back its way out. Now we're going to need to open up the second eye to get it hooked onto our cable. Alright, so once we've got that opened up, now we're going to take our cable and we're going to feed it on there. And then the same thing, use the back side of your cutting tool as a pair of pliers to crimp your eye of your hook closed. And now we're good. And now the cable won't slip its way out. You want to make sure that this one is extra closed, but at the same rate, you don't want to break your hook. We're good to go. Alright, the next business is, first thing we're going to do is slip on our squirt squid. Feed your cable through the head of it, run it down all the way to your hooks. Then you're going to feed your cable through your islander, and blam. That's how you do this. Now, what we're going to want to do is we're going to trim up so that our squirt squid, so that the end of our hook is exposed. You can see it's exposed a little bit, but I want it just a hair bit more exposed than that. So what I'll do is I'll pull my cable all the way through so that my hook stays streamlined. I'll see where it is, and I'm going to cut off about another 1/2 inch off of that so that the hook is exposed. Wahoo strike from behind when you're going at high speeds, and you want this hook exposed. It's going so fast so that they won't see it. There we go. That's what you want. You want that hook hanging out just like that. All right, this is your high-speed Wahoo lure. Now you'll take this end and you'll hook it onto a snap swivel, let it out on a big reel. You don't use a big reel with a fairly stiff rod. You're gonna pay the consequences for it. Always be prepared for the unexpected hit that happens when you least expect. This is gonna be our lure. It's a medium size. Some of them are very large, and they got about a 3-foot lure on it. I tend to not do that because the Wahoo isn't really gonna hit too much more than 12 inches above your lure. So when I say high-speed trolling, I don't mean you're putting your boat in gear and you're trolling around hunting for like you would for dolphin or tuna or something. I'm talking you let the line out about 200 to 300 feet and you bring your boat up to speed. The minimum speed you want to be doing is 14 to 15 miles an hour with a max of about 19 miles an hour. What this does is it eliminates pretty much every other fish from going after your lure. The only other fish that you may end up getting incidentally is tuna. They will chase after these and they will hit you. But ultimately, if you get tagged going that fast, it's pretty much guaranteed that it's gonna be a Wahoo. And the first thing that's gonna happen is he's gonna peel out line running away from your boat. The one thing you don't wanna do should you get struck by a Wahoo is you don't want to slow down. What you will do is you'll keep continuing on at that speed until the Wahoo quits running away from you and your boat sort of pulls him in line and he'll be trailing the boat. And then it's a long haul of reeling him in. If you've got an electric reel, more power to you. It will be easier to yank him in and get him quicker. If not, you're gonna have fun hand cranking that bad boy in for about, I would say 200 yards. Maybe 300, depends upon how big they are, and they go really fast, and it is, gonna be the fight of your life once you get them on, but no doubtedly fun. So what you'll do if you're trolling high speed, you wanna start out in about 150 feet of water. Wahoo are structure oriented, so you're not gonna find them over the desert of the ocean. Sandy bottom, no fish. Structure, fish. Wahoo are structure-oriented fish. There have been studies done to prove this. So you'll start out in about 150 feet and you're gonna snake in and out between 150 feet and 300 feet of water. And that's where Wahoo tend to chase after their food. So as you're doing that, the best time to go for Wahoo is right on or right after a full moon. The closer the moon is to the earth with the very large moon and the more gravitational pull, and it pulls the tides higher and lower, the better and the more hungry they get. They act like this. Another tip is should you have some sort of front approaching on this day, I don't recommend going for them. They're very pressure sensitive fish. The conditions almost have to be perfect. You have to have, seas that you can go this fast in your boat, which means it's going to be fairly calm, clear water, and you go for it. Like I said, it's conditional fish. The conditions need to be right or they're not going to bite. So as I said, you want to use a fairly good sized reel when you're high-speed trolling for Wahoo. This is a Penn International 30 wide. It holds about 1,000 yards of line. So I really don't think it's going to get spooled, but you never know. Wahoo come upwards of 80, even higher in the pound range, and they will take out a lot of line, so you got to be prepared for it. Now, piece of advice. Some folks use bent butt rods, which is nice. Mine is not. It's a straight inline rod. It has roller guides on all of my guides. You want to do that because when the Wahoo hits and he's going in the reverse direction of your boat, you're going 15 to 19 miles an hour. Wahoo swim upwards of 40 miles an hour. So you're talking about line peeling out of your guides at about 60 miles an hour. Your guides need to be well greased, well taken care of, and they need to be in functioning order. Otherwise, your line could be compromised and you'll lose your fish after you've gone through a lot of work to hunt them down and to get the hook up. Another piece of advice. On the backs of reels like this, you have this loop, or on the front of it, you have what you would hook up a harness to. When high-speed Wahoo trolling, you want to make sure that you take a tether and you hook it to one of these loops back here. If the fish hits and your boat bounces and your rod bends and has a recoil, it could come straight out of the rod holder and you lose everything. Your fish, your rod, your lure, everything, and it makes for a real bad day of fishing. But just a piece of advice. Be smart when high-speed trolling and hook your reel to the boat. I've seen them lost, and it doesn't make fun for anybody. All right, everybody, that about does it for this episode. Hope you enjoyed. Hope you learned a little bit about making lures for high-speed trolling for Wahoo. Hope to see you next Tuesday for our Sunday showdown. Until next time, South Florida saltwater fishing, going wherever the cool wind takes us.